Hello YouTube, it's MM's Gaming Co. We're going to start making a realistic narrative game using the Unity engine. We're using Unity 2022 LTS, one of the latest versions, 0.3.2. Just created a 3D core project to give it a name, saved it in a good location. Now we're going to install the HDRP high definition render pipeline. This is for AAA games, very realistic graphics. You'll download that from Window Package Manager, then switch to the Unity registry under Packages dropdown, and then scroll down and download high definition render pipeline. And let's also get the terrain tools. Terrain tools will be used to create our terrain. Once you've installed the high definition render pipeline, we need to open up the wizard. That's going to be Window Rendering HDRP Wizard. And we're going to have to click Fix All to fix all these errors. And we're going to click Create One on the pop-up, create a render pipeline asset, and then convert all built-in materials to the HDRP. Now we have HDRP set up in our Unity project. Now let's enable volumetric clouds. Or let's add a sun to our scene first. Go into Project, Settings, Graphics, scroll down to the Visual Environment, switch to Physically Based Sky. You could enable a cloud layer if you want to. And now our directional light in the scene is now the sun. Very realistic. You can just use rotation to change kind of the time of the day. I'm going to create a terrain. Alright, now going back to project settings, the HDRP global settings. We're going to enable the volumetric clouds. Scroll down in there. You click on Open on the water rendering. This is in the same location as the volumetric clouds to enable. So you can enable the water and volumetric clouds at the same time in the quality settings under HDRP. Check the volumetric clouds checkbox. And you can also enable water if you want to right now. I'm going to do that later. Going back to the HDRP global settings under graphics. We need to go to the frame settings at the bottom and enable volumetric clouds for our cameras under lighting, and then under the real-time reflection and under baked and custom reflection as well. I also enable the full resolution clouds for sky since we want this to be as realistic as possible. Now I'm going to turn off the background clouds so we can see the volumetric ones when I get them enabled. We're going to increase the far clipping plane on our camera to 5,000 so we can see the clouds. Because you can only see as far as that clipping plane is on the camera. And I'm just going to tilt it up in the air so we could see them pop up when I have them enabled. I'm going to lower some of this flare from the sun, increasing the flare fall off. Alright, now we're going to add volumetric clouds back in the project settings, HDRP global settings. Make sure you add it under the normal volume settings, not the look dev one. And then turn on the volumetric clouds, enable local clouds if you want to. I'm probably will turn these on later because it's like realistic. You can fly through the clouds and actually see that. And then you can play around with the presets. They have stormy, cloudy, overcast, bare. And then you can also change those settings even deeper if you want to. So mess around with that when you have some time. And turn on the wind, turn on shadows, some of the lighting settings, and increase the shadow resolution. Alright, then under visual environment, you can change the speed of the clouds with that global speed and the orientation of the wind. Move my camera closer. And let's see this in play mode. Some beautiful clouds. Perfect. Now I'm going to create a little terrain so we can show off the water. Using the raise or lower terrain on the paintbrush of the terrain tools. Then we're going to go into project settings to enable the water now. So under our HDRP global settings, under our volume profile, find that water rendering. Click on open on that warning. And then let's enable the water under rendering in the quality settings. And you could change the resolution on that to be higher, lower if you need to. So I'm going to increase that for our game. And then go back to the HDRP global settings. Scroll down to the camera frame settings at the bottom. Make sure water is selected. Make sure water is selected for the real-time refractions and baked or custom reflections. And make sure water rendering is now enabled. There's some other settings you can change in there for the level of detail and some lighting. And then right-click in the hierarchy, go down to water surface, and you can create an ocean, sea, or lake. We'll just create an ocean, and I'm actually going to turn our terrain into a little island. So I'm just going to speed through there, terrain tool, lowering that terrain all around. Give it kind of an island vibe. I'm going to lower the whole terrain. And then you can see the water going up onto our sand, onto our beach. I'm going to reposition the camera to give it a better view of the water. Then let's select our water settings, clicking on the ocean object. And you can turn on foam to simulate foam. You can see a little bit change in the water at the top. There's chaos, how chaotic the waves are going to be, refraction color, scattering color, absorption distance. I'm increasing this and making it more natural. As it gets closer to the beach, you can actually see into the water. As you get farther away, it's harder to see into the water. It's absorbing that light. And there's a simple checkbox for underwater. So once our camera's underwater, it renders that like it should. And you can also enable the caustics, which is the light reflections through the water, which looks really nice. Adds that realism. Since we made a lot of progress, let's put this on GitHub. Open up GitHub Desktop, add an existing project, choose your project, create a README, initialize gitignore to Unity, and then create, uncheck that pop-up, and then publish your project, publish the branch. I always uncheck and make mine open source code instead of keeping it private, which is closed source. And now let's add some terrain textures. I'm just going to use, for right now, I'm going to use the sample assets the Unity has created for us. This comes with foliage. Textures for grass, sand, snow, rock, all these textures. And a nice foliage pack for ferns, low grass. Alright, so let's add the paint texture. Change to paint texture, scroll down the layer. The first layer select is going to cover the whole terrain. So I just selected the sand layer, or sand texture. Covered my whole terrain in that sand. As you can see, it looks pretty good. Probably will upgrade this later to get a higher quality 4K texture. But this is good for right now. You can change the texture tiling on it. And then on our water, I'm going to increase the chaos, just see how that looks. And messing with some of the color. Oh yeah, it looks much better. I'm going to clean up around here, make it kind of rounded off more. Just love how the water looks, going in and out of the water. The reflections from the sun. The waves. Looks so nice. And changing the volume depth. I didn't really understand what this did. I couldn't see any changes unless it was really low. Same with the priority. I guess if you have multiple volumes, it could be different. But absorption distance multiplier, that definitely had an effect, so I adjusted that a little bit. And the maximum distance under the refraction, I found it's like when you're looking up underwater, it's the little, that blue. Yeah, see, it's like a square when you have it maximum, and when it's zero, it's kind of more watery, more natural, I thought. So I lowered that. And turn off the chaos, make it more smooth, chiller vibe. And then I'm going to increase the speed of the current, get a little faster, natural ocean. There's so many properties to play with these water. Definitely just play around, see what you can mess with, see what you can find. Alright, so now we're going to add a third person character controller, so we can walk around and explore our terrain. I'm going to use the starter assets third person character controller from Unity. It says it's for URP, however it will work for HDRP as well. We'll just have to upgrade the material. But later I will replace this character model with a better character model. Unchecking assets I don't need, like the environment, scenes, tutorial. I kept the mobile in case I want to port to mobile later on. We're going to drag inside the starter assets, third person controller, prefabs. We're going to drag the player armature, player follow camera, and main camera into the scene. Since I didn't install the dependencies, I'm going to need to install Cinemachine. And I will also need the new input system for the third person character controller to work. I'm going to drop down the player armature and drag the player camera root to the follow position on the player follow camera. Now anywhere the player goes, the camera will follow. So that's perfect. You can change some of the settings if you want to in the player follow camera, but I'm just going to keep them on default right now. And then I'm installing the new input system since it didn't install when I installed the third person controller. You have to restart your Unity project to enable that. And then once it loads back up, I hit play and we're running around, walking, exploring our terrain we just created. Awesome. Looks very realistic. We got good graphics running 170 frames. That's perfect. Let's commit our changes. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for next time.